Hi everyone, welcome to the Family Creative Learning online workshop. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Rose Roque. I'm a PhD student here with the Lifelong Kindergarten group at the MIT Media Lab.
And I'm Saskia Leggett. I'm a learning experience designer here at the Lifelong Kindergarten group, and I work with Rick Rose on Family Creative Learning.
So if you haven't had a chance to introduce yourself yet, take a moment and introduce yourself in the text-based chat. Say hi, hello, give you a moment.
And we're so excited to have you here. We're really looking forward to sharing more about Family Creative Learning and talking to you about our work and learning more about your interests and what you want to do with Family Creative Learning. So if you haven't downloaded the guide yet, there's a link above the text-based chat, and you can do so now. So this is a pre-recorded video, as you can see, but we're in the chat, we're with you, and we can answer your questions as you have them, but we'll be watching this video all together.
So first things first, before we dive in, we just wanted to explain a little bit about the platform that we're on right now. So this is called the Unhangout platform. It was developed here by a team at the MIT Media Lab. It's a fairly new platform, so there might be some glitches, but we think this is a really cool platform to try out what we want to do in this online workshop. And speaking of today's event, we're still experimenting with how we can kind of connect with others online, kind of share the spirit of the workshops and introduce people to Family Creative Learning. So we really look forward to your feedback on kind of the structure of today, the platform, just like how we've designed this whole event. So feel free to be very liberal with your critique and your questions about this experience.
So just to give you a quick roadmap of what we'll be doing together today, we're going to introduce you to Family Creative Learning and then jump into the guide that you've downloaded, walk you through a bit of the guide and point out some spots that we think that you should focus on a little bit today, and then we'll break out into 2 sessions for questions and answers, and Rick Rose will be leading one session and I'll be leading the other. Anything else?
I think that's it. So we'll be in the text-based chat. So while this is pre-recorded, what you'll be seeing in the next 10 minutes, we're totally here live with you. So feel free to interact with us and the other people who are here while we watch this video that we prepared for the next 10 minutes.
Okay, great.
All right, enjoy.
So what is Family Creative Learning? Family Creative Learning is a workshop series that engages children and their parents to learn together as designers and inventors through the use of creative technologies. We design these workshops to strengthen the social support and expertise of families with limited access to resources and experiences around computing. In the workshops, families learn to use creative technologies Scratch and Makey. Scratch is a free programming language where you can create your own interactive media such as games, animations, and stories, and share them with people all over the world. Makey is an invention kit where you can attach everyday materials to the computer and create your own physical interfaces. Together, Scratch and Makey allow families to create their own digital and physical experiences with computing. So Family Creative Learning consists of 5 workshops, held once a week for 2 hours. In the first 2 workshops, they explore Scratch and Makey. Then in the next 2, they build a family project that they show in the community showcase, where they invite friends and family to check out all the work that they've been doing together. Each workshop is split up into 4 parts: Eat, Meet, Make, Share. We always start with a meal, often from a local restaurant, and this gives families a chance to relax, get to know each other and the other families that are there. Then, we briefly split up the parents and the kids, and we check in with them, asking them questions about their experiences, but they can also ask us questions about what to expect, questions that they had from the last workshop. It's a great opportunity also for parents to get to know each other and for the children to get to know each other as well. Then we engage for the bulk of the workshop in making activities that include Scratch and Makey. And finally, we end every workshop with a share. We go around and check out everyone's works in progress, and people can give feedback and ask questions. Saskia will talk more in depth about what this looks like and how you can use this guide that we created to help you implement these workshops. So why families, creativity, and learning? Well, we really believe that everyone can play a role. As technology permeates all aspects of our lives, parents often wonder what role they can play. By engaging in projects together, we want parents to see the kinds of supportive practices and roles that they can take on as they work on these projects, like giving feedback, providing encouragement, helping them debug issues. And kids, with their growing expertise and excitement around technology, that's something that they can share with their other family members as well. We also believe in learning by creating. We believe that people learn best when they're building and inventing things that are personally and socially meaningful to them. And finally, we want to build a learning community. By creating projects, sharing them with other families through the workshops and in the showcase, we want families to see that they have these shared interests across their community and that they can support one another as they continue to engage in these kinds of activities beyond the workshops. So now we'll jump into a guide that we created over the summer to help you think about how might you do something like this in your community. I'll pass it over to Saskia.
Cool. Thanks, Rick Rose. So what happens during the workshops and how can you implement your own? In the next few minutes, I'll share a facilitator guide that we created and recently shared over the summer. It provides a basic framework to implement the 5 FCL workshops and is meant to give you all of the tools and insider info you'll need to run your own workshops. The guide includes our photo documentation, activity descriptions, and the tips that we've accumulated by running our own workshops in the Boston area over the last 2 years. I'm biased, but I think this is a really beautiful guide. We know that everybody skims, so we designed it to be like a magazine. It's easy to flip through with big images and colorful graphics. And you can also dive really deep into the details. And we included a lot of details. It's 127 pages, but it's definitely skimmable. We hope that the guide will be a useful tool for you to start doing the workshops on your own. And to give you a sense of what that might look like, I'm going to now walk through some of the features of the guide. And afterwards, we'll be able to break out into smaller groups so you can ask me and Rick Rose some more specific questions. And again, feel free to continue asking questions in the text-based chat while this video continues playing. Okay, so let's jump into the guide. And if you haven't downloaded the guide already, feel free to do so now using the link right above the chat window. So the guide is split into a few different sections, and we're going to start with the first section, Imagining. Here we start you off with an opportunity to set some goals. And we actually want to ask you as a group to answer the question in the chat window, number 2, why are you interested in engaging your community in creative learning? So if you just want to take a second to actually write the answer to that question and maybe think about it for a minute, and then we'll share our answers by reading each other's answers in the chat. Cool. So while everybody's still answering their questions, and I'm sure your answers are really great, I'll take a second to give you a look at the timeline. So in the Imagining section, we kind of broke down the timeline of the workshops to talk about what happens each day. So what are the families building? How are they connecting? And who's working together? In this section 2, there's a bit of more specific information about what happens during each section of the workshop that Rick Rose mentioned: eat, meet, make, and share. Jumping ahead to the next section, Facilitating.
So just a note about our facilitation. We really believe facilitators play an important role in creating a safe, welcoming, and creative environment. Facilitators not just help with them in developing their projects, but realizing their ideas and helping them get to it. These facilitating fundamentals, we collected them to help you think about how you can play a role in that. And this includes from helping build trust in relationships, to asking them questions rather than giving answers. And we really believe that anyone can be a facilitator. You don't have to be an expert in the technologies necessarily, but care deeply about helping them realize their ideas instead.
We also have some more information about building your facilitation team, including strategies for preparing together and a bit more specifics about how many facilitators you might need and how to recruit them. The next section, preparing, walks you through what you need to get ready for the workshops. So here we have a bit of information about recruiting families, which we feel like is a really crucial step of the workshop, designing your spaces, and the materials that you'll need to get ready. And this is the biggest section of the guide, the workshopping section. This is a preview of Workshop 1, the first day. On the front page of each workshop, you get a quick overview of what families are doing and learning, and what's happening in each of the 4 parts of the workshop. Each day also includes its own prep section, with more information about the materials needed for activities. On this page here, you can also see that we've included facilitator tips. Quick tips that give you insider information on things we suggest based on what we've learned in our own workshops. Throughout each day, we also give you pictures of how things look. These are shots of our space, of the families, of the different activities we have, just to kind of give you a visual sense of what you might do in your own workshop. And in a few of the activities that we dive deeper into, we give multiple shots to show you a few different points of view. For example, on this page, we have 4 different images showing one activity, creating About Me, About Us cards. This is an activity that happens on day 1 of the workshop. Throughout the guide too, we've included family stories where we've tracked a few different families to give you more information about their dynamics, their struggles, and their breakthroughs, to give you a sense of the specific families that we work with and kind of what their experiences were like in the workshops. And finally, in the last section of the guide, the appendix, we give you more information about specific terms that we use throughout the guide and a glossary. We actually provide the design journal and the handouts that we use as printables that you can print out and use throughout your workshop, as well as the forms and flyers that you might need to get started and to set up. So here's a quick preview of one of the resources available in the appendix, the design journal, which we hand out to families to accompany them during the workshops.
Cool. So, hi again. So now what we're about to do, we're going to break out into our smaller group discussions. But before we do that, I just wanted to make a note about 2 things to follow up with after today. The first one is, so today you just kind of got a little taste, a little feel of FCL, and we understand that there's lots of other things to talk about and details to go over. And so over the month of January, we're going to do a workshop series, an online workshop series about the workshop series. And it's going to be a similar format like this, where we'll give a little bit of introduction. For example, we'll dive very deeply into preparation and recruitment, or like a particular day in the workshop and what are the things to consider. And then we'll also break out into smaller groups to talk about your particular implementation or community. The second thing I wanted to point out is that I'm really interested to work with people who plan to do this or who feel like they can do this in the next 6 months. And so there's a little bit of a funding opportunity, some money that I could that we could send you to kind of cover the food costs at least. And so if you're interested in either of those 2 things, we're going to send up a follow-up email where you can sign up to hear about the workshops in January, or to get more information about how you can kind of connect with some of that funding. And actually that funding also comes with a lot of time with me, because I want to learn about your implementation. So you and I will meet regularly to help you plan, and also as you do your workshops, I want to talk to you about it, but also help you troubleshoot things as they come along. So those are 2 things, so look out for an email from both of us about those opportunities.
So now we're going to split out into our breakout sessions. So on the left side of your screen, you see two options. You can either meet with me or meet with Rick Rose. And we're going to use this opportunity to ask questions, or for you to ask questions and for us to answer your questions. And we might ask some questions too. And so to kind of split us up, we are going to do session 1 with me is for people who are feeling a little unsure about when they want to implement their own family creative workshops or if they can. And for people who are committed and kind of ready to do this sooner than later, then they're going to break out with Rick Rose in session 2. So there are only in the Unhangout platform 10 people allowed per Hangout, and it's actually going to kind of bring you to your own Google Hangout. And this is not a hard and fast attempt to organize everybody. It's just kind of a way that we can split into groups. And if you don't get your first group choice, that's okay. You can still ask the questions that you want to ask in either of our sessions.
Cool. So this is the moment where we're going to break out into our smaller groups. And so what happens is we're going to open up the sessions, and you click a button that says join next to each one. And when you're ready, you're going to get redirected to another window that's going to be a Google Hangout. So this is why it's called the Unhangout. It's kind of a simulation of an unconference where we'll meet in smaller groups, and Saskia and I will be there chatting with you live over video. And if you experience any issues, just come back to the lobby, which is where you are right now, and let us know in the text-based chat. And someone here who actually helped develop the platform will be here to help us troubleshoot your issues. Great, so we look forward to seeing you in person and talking to you more about this.
We'll see you in a minute.